Okay, we're going to try to keep this quick tonight. We are doing a video reflection for Project 1 in 6033 SPED. The first question was about the first day of school challenges that we read on page 4. My response is that this is a tough question. I've only ever worked in certified parapro roles. My first classroom on my own was an ISS classroom. The biggest challenges for me were that it was like a K through 12 setting, so it was very difficult having kindergartners and 12th graders and all in between in the same class. I had little control due to the role of the school administrator that had very strict guidelines for me at the time. I was working on my bachelor's certification, so I couldn't ruffle a lot of feathers. But we had a kindergartner placed in the room for almost 21 consecutive days, and then he would be out of the classroom, back in, out, and back. And I ended up resigning the role and the position at the Christmas break. I'd started in the fall because I tried advocating for this child. I advocated with the principal, the superintendent, and was kind of told he had behavioral issues as a kindergartner. He had not yet been evaluated. He did receive some special services in preschool, but advocating for this child cost me my job, or I chose to leave that role with an administrator that wasn't performing intake and outtake, wasn't doing meetings with the parents. I understand there were some issues at home with the child and it wasn't a stable environment, but still it felt like this child was put in with no phone calls to parents, no tries for intervention, and he couldn't even read and write. And I was told I wasn't able to interact with him. So that was my experience with advocating. Question number 2. I have not been in this specific situation either, except with my own dyslexic daughters. For almost 2 years, kindergarten and first grade, she would only write upside down and backwards. She hated to do handwriting, and the teacher was calling me in saying she's writing upside down and backwards, so I know she can write. I convinced the administrators that if she was keeping on track and was able to write upside down and backwards, and it was very legible and we could all read it, what did it hurt? And they went along with me on this one. It's something she did on throughout the rest of her school, but around 3rd grade she learned to write forward. I did not force her to write appropriately. I didn't think it was worth that struggle. So that would be my only experience that a child had a special gift where I was involved in the process, because I have not been a teacher yet. IDEA is a major act that allows funding for special education. It is important for us to understand that there may be a time that we need to advocate. I think I kind of covered that in question number 2 as well. I would love to have more information about how to handle these situations, and will rely greatly on some good relationships with former principals and my parents who were administrators. Conflict and resolution on page 14. I have so many issues with page 14's story about conflict resolution, especially a victim of assault sitting in a meeting with the student who was bullying or harassing him or didn't stand up for him. I did a 6-month internship in adult probation and parole and dipped my toes in juvenile probation and parole. when I was doing pre-law and criminology early on in my college career. I saw some great progress and outcomes, but also some sad ones. I'm not sure I agreed with this meeting and them sitting down together and the alternative approach. I think it's great to take on cultural identity, use leaders within the child's community. That's great. It was just this specific scenario I wasn't overly fond of. For number 5, I believe I inadvertently answered this question as well about my kindergarten student in the ISS room. I was prepared to take on a full-time role the following year in life skills and walked away because the superintendent refused to consider the unfairness toward the child. I did end up making a report when I resigned to the U.S. or the State Department of Education, and that superintendent is actually gone and had some other violations under her belt. So I felt like I did the right thing. You never want to go above somebody's head if you can communicate. Race cognizance was the biggest takeaway from number 6. Teaching in a very rural area without great diversity, it's not something that's going to be commonplace in our school. I do not tolerate racism at all. I've never tolerated it at home or for many people I'm around, and I will not tolerate it even in our rural setting where it is seen within the community. And number 7, to finish really quick, make a welcoming classroom for migrants. I would start cultural programs and activity nights and send out multilingual things. Thank you.